Okay, where were we? Sorry that cut off. I ran out of space on my computer again. So anyway, part 2, we are trying to get a night scene, but we notice that it's still kind of bright, and as we move around, the intensity changes. What's going on is there's a post-process effect, which is causing it to sort of change luminance. And so for this project, it's going to get in the way of, I want to keep this kind of basic, so let's go ahead and turn that off. In order to do that, we're going to go back up to Edit, and we're going to go to Project Settings, and we're going to dig into here. So scroll down, and then under Engine, we're going to find Rendering. And then under Rendering, I'm going to scroll down until we get to Post-Processing. And then under Default Settings in Post-Processing, we are going to turn off Auto Exposure. And that should fix that. Let's go ahead and build lighting and see what we have. Okay. So, a nighttime scene, a little moon. So, for the nighttime scene, what I would also like you to do, in addition to just changing the intensity of the directional light, I'd like you to drag in a point light. And go ahead and drag that into your interior space. We're going to leave it as the default. Every time you drag a light in, it defaults to static, or stationary, I mean. So, and we're just going to leave it at that. We'll talk more about the difference and the reasons why you would use stationary in certain situations versus static and versus movable. But for now, we're just going to leave it at the default. But what I would like you to do is go ahead and come in here and change the color of it. So while you have the point light selected, go to the Details panel, and under Light, you can change the color. Change it to something kind of fun. You can change the intensity, so let's drop the intensity down. And then you can change its attenuation radius, and that's basically how far out the light travels. As I adjust this attenuation radius, you can see the light is coming out of the doorway more and more. And then once we have that, go ahead and build lighting again. And we can see it calculates all the bounce lighting, the GI, or global illumination. And you'll notice that there's some light leaking going on. That's kind of normal. So there's different sort of settings you can have for lighting, and for now, if you look under Build, Lighting Quality, we have it set to Preview. And that's basically low, it's fast, but it's low accuracy, which is fine for our purposes. If we wanted to bump it up to production and build, just, for grins, it's going to take a little longer, but it'll eliminate some of those light leaking issues. There almost always are going to be some issues with the lighting, and then, there's a lot of settings in here we can do to tune that, but that's, that's for the later lighting lessons, but see, it fixed most of that light leaking. So anyway, go ahead and feel free to embellish this scene as much as you want. You can add a couple of point lights in here, just to kind of get used to using point lights. Change the color, intensity, and the attenuation radius. And then we'll go ahead and save all. And then what I'd like you to do is duplicate this one again, and call this one Wild. Double click that. And now for this, what I would like you to do is create a lighting scenario that's, well, for lack of a better word, wild. And what I mean by that is one in which you go in and you alter the light color for all of the lights that are affecting the scene. So, for example, you go in and change our directional light to be green. And then you can go ahead and go to the skylight, which has an option to change the light color too, and tweak that. You'll notice it shows up a little bit in the shadows. It gets overpowered by the main lighting. So what happens is the green, the really intense green of the directional light, is coloring the atmospheric fog, which then sort of colors what the skylight reads. Because remember, what the skylight does is it takes sort of a 360-degree image from its position, and then it uses that to light. But you do have the power to affect the color of the light a little bit in here, so you can affect the color and intensity. So go ahead and play with that too. And just kind of come up with something weird. And you can change the direction, go underlight it. It's gonna look weird when I build this. Let's see what happens. It's shadow casting light, but I'm not sure if this plane is gonna block it from the other side. I'm curious to see what will happen. Ooh, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so what happened is the light is coming from underneath and it's shadow casting, which means geometry should block it. However, this plane is only one-sided, so it didn't block it, which gave us kind of a neat effect. Anyway, so kind of have fun with this one. Just experiment. So the whole point of this exercise is to just get familiar with really basic lighting. The directional light, the skylight, and then a point light. And we're not going to do anything fancy with them. We're just going to change their orientation. In the terms of the point light, change its location, and then we'll change intensity and color. And when you're done, what I'd like you to do is just kind of do a screen grab, like print screen and paste into like a Photoshop file if you can, or you could even take a picture of it with your phone, like I don't care, and upload that to Canvas so that I can kind of see what you guys came up with. And that's it.